You know, shockingly, it would be the fun story would be that Disney was just appalled at everything, and Marvel was never going to let us do anything. But that's on one hand. On the other hand, money.
Ryan Reynolds of Deadpool has never been one to shy away from his opinions, especially when it comes to the creative direction of his films.
Look, lady, I'm not interested.
All right, well, I'm sort of on the tick-tick, so upsy daisy. Here we go. Oh, whiskey dick of the claws.
As the star and heart behind Deadpool, Reynolds was at the center of the drama surrounding Disney's takeover of the franchise, which has sparked considerable tension. In this video, we will explore his views, expressed in interviews and through his actions. Reynolds isn't willing to compromise Deadpool's integrity, even if it means going head-to-head with the corporate giant. Starting off, Ryan Reynolds went on eTalk to talk about the movie. It is very clear to note that the film, according to Ryan, was made of superheroes standard.
Because these movies in particular, they're made, I think fairly by superhero movie standards, quite responsibly. I mean, we pride ourselves on finishing on time, on budget or under budget, and, delivering the movie exactly how we planned.
The superhero standard, with superhuman abilities or extraordinary skills, was definitely showcased in the video featuring Deadpool and Wolverine.
Yes, there's jokes in there that I personally cannot believe they let us.
And neither did I. Because we were like the kind of good boy students turning in our script every once in a while. And every time we send a script, we were like kind of waiting. And
from Ryan's perspective, it is obvious that he will be working out because Disney allowed them to take in some jokes on set. He did his best with the crew team, and it seems like the Disney boss tweaked it to fit into their policy. Ryan Reynolds has always been passionate about the production of Deadpool, but Disney's involvement introduced a new layer of complexity. The delay in the production of Deadpool 3 frustrated Reynolds, who had been eager to move forward with the project.
Hugh and I both at the get-go, we were like, we're going to do everything. We love the movie more than life itself. It's both of our favorite movies we've ever done, so we said, let's get it just as slutty as possible with the promo.
He clashed with Disney's executives, who seemed hesitant to fully embrace the character's R-rated nature. Despite this, Reynolds remained undeterred, noting that the fans' demand for Deadpool ultimately pushed the movie forward. This is a testament to the fact that Reynolds has always seen Deadpool as fan-driven and not just another corporate property.
In this movie. So what was the meeting like when you're discussing with Disney the jokes about Disney?
Oh boy.
Real quick, if you're enjoying this content and want more insights like this, hit subscribe and help us reach these topics to a wider audience. Thank you for the support. Now, let's jump back in. During production meetings, Reynolds has been candid about the challenge of working with Disney. He often jokes about how surprised he was that Disney allowed certain jokes to stay in the script. However, underlying his humor is a clear frustration with how Disney sometimes seeks to water down the irreverent tone that made Deadpool such a success. The tension between maintaining the essence of the character while navigating Disney's family-friendly brand has been a recurring theme. Reynolds expressed amazement that certain jokes were approved. Still, there was always the lingering concern that Disney might try to tone down Deadpool's signature edginess in favor of a more sanitized approach.
It would be the fun story would be that Disney was just appalled at everything, and Marvel was never going to let us do anything. But that's on one hand. On the other hand, money.
Things came to a head when Disney CEO Bob Iger's promises to Reynolds and the creative team seemed to go unfulfilled. Initially, Iger had suggested that the success of Deadpool 3 would open the door for more ambitious Marvel projects, potentially even expanding the Deadpool universe to include more X-Men characters. However, when it came time to allocate funds, Disney funneled a significant portion of the $1.3 billion in box office revenue toward other projects, particularly diversity, equity, and inclusion (DEI) initiatives. This decision was particularly frustrating for Reynolds, as it felt like Deadpool's hard-earned success was being used to support projects that weren't aligned with the audience's expectations.
Really put them in a tough position. Because these movies in particular, they're made, I think fairly by superhero standards.
Reynolds has always supported diverse projects, but in this instance, he saw Disney's prioritization of DEI over storytelling as a misstep. The success of Deadpool was rooted in its edgy humor and its willingness to push boundaries, something that Reynolds felt was at risk of being diluted.
It's in there that I personally cannot believe they let us.
And in fairness, because we were like the kind of good boy students turning in our script every once in a while, and every time we send a script.
While diversity is important, Reynolds expressed concern that Disney's approach felt forced and could potentially alienate the core audience that made Deadpool a hit in the first place. He was particularly outspoken about how Deadpool, a character known for breaking the fourth wall and political incorrectness, wouldn't fit into a narrative that was too focused on corporate-driven diversity initiatives.
I mean, the character knows he's in a comic book movie, but he works in the X-Men universe, so he's dealing with other X-Men. He's talking about other X-Men. He's making jokes about Ryan Reynolds. I mean, it's very, and it's rated R, which is unusual for Marvel X-Men type movie. I think it's certificate 15 here in the UK.
Yeah, we can take it.
Yes, in China, and in China it's rated go f yourself.
One of the key points of contention was Disney's desire to introduce new, more diverse characters into Deadpool 3. While Reynolds and the creative team were not opposed to more inclusivity, they pushed back against Disney's attempt to shoehorn these characters into the story in a way that felt inauthentic. The introduction of a new sidekick, designed to appeal to a younger, more diverse audience, felt tokenistic rather than a natural addition to the story. This was just one of many instances where Reynolds and his team had to fight to preserve the essence of Deadpool.
Deadpool entering the MCU, I think audiences care less about universes and they care more about characters and smaller groups of people. We all relate to having a sort of group of people around us that are a little bit smaller. And
Ryan Reynolds was not alone in his frustrations. Hugh Jackman, who had reprised his role as Wolverine for Deadpool 3, also found himself disappointed with how Disney handled the situation. Jackman had hoped that Wolverine's return would lead to a broader, grittier X-Men universe. Still, instead, the profits from Deadpool 3 and Wolverine were redirected towards projects like the Snow White 2025 remake. Both Reynolds and Jackman saw this as a missed opportunity and a betrayal of what Disney had promised them.
basically told that all of those characters that I'd come in with for the first two Deadpool movies were not going to be ported over to the MCU, and that ended up kind of serving as the engine for this story to a certain degree. I felt like it was kind of writing itself.
As tensions escalated, Reynolds openly criticized Disney, and there were fears that he might walk away from the project entirely. His message was clear. If Disney did not focus on delivering the Marvel projects they had promised, he was ready to leave. This posed a significant threat to Disney's plans, as Reynolds was set to star in several upcoming Marvel films, including a Deadpool vs. Wolverine sequel and potential X-Men crossovers.
That's saying what's next, or how can we make something, else? And but this movie was made as a complete experience. It wasn't meant to be a commercial for another movie. It wasn't meant to be any of that stuff.
Losing Reynolds would be a disaster for Disney, not just because of the popularity of Deadpool, but also because it would signal to fans that the studio was willing to compromise the integrity of their most beloved characters. Bob Iger's leadership at Disney has been heavily focused on promoting DEI initiatives, a strategy that has sparked debate both inside and outside the company. While Iger believes that this focus on diversity will pay off in the long term, many industry insiders, including Reynolds, have expressed concern that Disney is prioritizing representation over storytelling. Films like Strange World and the Willow TV series, which were heavily promoted for their inclusive casts, struggled at the box office, costing Disney millions. Reynolds has been vocal about how forcing DEI elements into Deadpool would undermine the very things that made the franchise successful in the first place.
In this movie. So what was the meeting like when you're discussing with Disney the jokes about Disney?
Oh boy. Shockingly, it would be the fun story would be that Disney was just appalled.
Ultimately, Ryan Reynolds' stance is clear. He is not against diversity, but he is fiercely protective of the creative integrity of Deadpool. His battle with Disney is emblematic of the larger struggle between maintaining artistic freedom and corporate mandates. As Reynolds continues to push back against what he sees as Disney's attempts to sanitize Deadpool, fans and critics alike are watching closely to see how this battle will unfold. The future of Deadpool, and possibly the broader Marvel universe, may very well depend on whether Reynolds can convince Disney to let Deadpool be Deadpool.
We wrote the script like start to finish with all of our alt jokes, everything. So we were a little bit like the sort of eager kids at school, I think, that they sort of saw that. And that's a trust building exercise.
Right.
So
The drama surrounding Deadpool 3 and Disney's handling of the franchise has highlighted the growing divide between corporate interests and creative vision in Hollywood. Ryan Reynolds, with his unwavering commitment to preserving what made Deadpool special, has become a key figure in this battle. As tensions continue to rise, the question remains: will Disney listen to Reynolds, or will they risk losing one of their biggest stars in the process? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more open discussions.